You gave your ticket to a stranger lady. There's nothing more important than a company. You're fired even when the boss told me I was fired. I wasn't too shocked. Instead, I felt like I had pictured the true corporate culture of this company and almost blurted out, "I'm better off without this place anyway." Just then, "Excuse me," the panicked manager rushed into the boss's office. "Sir, our company is being featured as breaking news on TV. What's going on? Who is this person?" The faces of the COO and my boss turned pale as they looked at the DV screen. The person on the DV screen was, "My name is Mike. Here in New York City, I work at a healthcare products and related service provider. I belong to the sales department. Guess I have another membership quota to meet this month. Sales is rewarding but tough. That's the only way to put it. Our company's gym, based on the concept of a gym anyone can easily access at any time, has been expanding rapidly due to the recent health boom, making our business grow fast. The idea of easily accessible for everyone was revolutionary in the world of gyms, which used to be seen as intimidating to join. But there was a fatal flaw in this aggressive business strategy. What's going on with your gym? It's always so crowded. I can barely use the machines. Why is it fully booked for the month? I joined because you promised I could avail it any time. Despite the demand, there were simply too many members for one gym. Lately, we've been receiving daily complaints from dissatisfied customers. Still, all we hear from the top is increase the membership numbers. Are we really going to keep adding members in this situation? I've been growing doubtful of the company's willingness to address the concerns raised by the customers. One day, I couldn't hold back any longer and decided to talk to the sales manager. "Excuse me, manager, I have something I'd like to discuss." "What now? In the middle of all this chaos? Make it quick." "Yes, sorry," as the manager, not even looking up from his paperwork, dismissively gestures. I sigh and start speaking. "Manager, you're aware of the alarming numbers of complaints from customers, right?" "Yeah. So what?" "I think we're adding to our membership numbers recklessly. We should seriously address the complaints and work on solutions." "Oh, Mike, you don't get it. That's the problem with the younger generation." The manager interrupts me, scratching his head in irritation. "Whatever we do, it costs money. We need to increase sales before we can think about solutions." "Well, that might be true, but still just focus on increasing the membership, you worthless employee. Ramp up the sales pitches to all the media for advertising. Got it?" "Understood." It was like talking to a wall, but when the higher-ups say this, there's not much else to do. I swallowed my frustration and quietly returned to my work, following the manager's orders. I started pitching our ads to various media outlets. Perhaps because of these efforts, some good news came my way. "Really? Is that true?" "Yes, we're interested in a tie-up with an RTV program." The caller was from the Alaska Broadcasting Company. Excitedly, they were considering not just commercial films, but also a TV show collaboration. "Thank you so much. We'd be delighted to work with you." "Thank you, but the show's schedule is quite tight. We'd like to meet as soon as possible, if that's all right with you. Any time is fine. I'll be there." "Thank you. I'll send you the schedule by email right away." "Thank you very much. I appreciate it." Even after hanging up, my hands were still shaking with surprise and joy. All right, can't just sit around now. A DV collaboration could be a significant achievement. Trying to contain my excitement, I booked a flight to head for the DV station's meeting. And then the day of the big meeting with the TV station arrived. I got to the airport early to catch my flight. I've got quite some time before departure. Maybe I was too eager as I arrived at the airport earlier than I expected. I was thinking about going to a nearby coffee shop to review my presentation materials when I noticed something. "Excuse me, are there any seats available on the flight to Anchorage? I really need to get on the next flight." A woman was desperately pleading with the airline counter staff. "Just a moment, please." The staff, looking confused, fiddled with their computer and wore a troubled expression. "I'm sorry, but all the flights to Anchorage today are fully booked." "Oh no, there's still time before the next flight, and we can put you on a waiting list for cancellations." "All right, please do that." After completing some simple procedures, the woman walked away from the counter looking unsteady. I wonder if she is okay. I found myself watching her as she sat down on a bench, covering her mouth with her hand, her shoulders shaking. It looked like she was crying. The next flight to Anchorage, huh? I glanced at the ticket in my hand. No, that's not right. I was here for work after all, chiding myself for even thinking about it. I started walking towards the coffee shop. As I passed by the woman sitting on the bench, her cell phone rang. "Hello, Jess. It's booked. I'm on a waiting list." "Oh, my, still unconscious. I'm okay. I'll try to get back today." Yes. Her trembling voice was audible as she spoke to the person on the other end of the phone. What happened? An accident or an illness? Someone important to her seemed to be in serious trouble. Oh, that's why she was so desperate. Stop it. Don't think about it anymore. Shaking my head to clear these thoughts, I passed the woman. I bought a cup of coffee, sat down, and spread out my materials. I wanted to focus, but I couldn't stop thinking about the woman nearby. I can't do anything for her. Murmuring to myself, I started to question, is that really true? I had what she needed right now. The more I thought, the more my heart raced, the more restless I felt. Come on, what am I even thinking? Unable to sit still any longer, I downed my lukewarm coffee, gathered my things, and left the coffee shop. I retraced my steps back. The woman was still sitting on the same bench. "Excuse me." She looked up in surprise when I spoke to her eyes wide open, wet with tears. "Are you all right?" "I'm sorry. Yes, I'm fine. She tried to put on a brave face, smiling, but her trembling lips betrayed her distress. The last bit of my hesitation, telling me not to get involved, vanished at that moment. What happened? I'm sorry. I saw you over there at the counter earlier. You were waiting for a ticket cancellation, right? My daughter was involved in a traffic accident and taken to the hospital." "Your daughter?" "I came here from Alaska for a business trip. My return flight was scheduled for tomorrow, so I couldn't get back immediately. I can't be there for my daughter." She choked up mid-sentence and started crying. I hurriedly pulled out a handkerchief and handed it to her. "Please use this. I'm sorry. Can you stand up? I have a ticket for the next flight to Anchorage. Let's change the passenger name to yours at the counter. But hurry, it's almost boarding time." I took her arm to help her stand and walked her to the counter. "Excuse me, I'd like to transfer my ticket to her, please." "Yes, sir, you're the lady on the waiting list, right?" "Just a moment, please." The counter staff, apparently concerned about her as well, began the transfer process. Say without hesitation, "Wait, what about you? It's okay for me, but not for you. You need to go now or else you'll surely regret it." "Thank you so much, thank you." She looked somehow relieved, tears streaming down her face. I gently shook my head and handed her the ticket. "Go to your daughter, please." "Thank you so much. Here, this is my card. May I have yours?" Of course, we exchanged business cards. Somewhat belatedly, her name turned out to be Alice. "You're Mike, right?" "Thank you so much. I'll never forget this kindness. I'll make sure to thank you properly once things settle down." "No need for thanks. Just take care, and I hope your daughter will be okay, Jess." "Thank you. Thank you so much." I watched her repeatedly turn back with teary eyes until she disappeared from view. Well, I really did it. I sighed, watching the plane I was supposed to be on take off from the lounge. Strangely, I felt no regret. Switching gears, I called the DV station I was supposed to have a meeting with. "Hello, this is Mike." "Mike, good to hear from you. Is your flight on schedule?" "Actually, about that. I only told the DV station representative about missing the flight." "I see. That's a bit of a problem. I'm truly sorry for this sudden change." "No need to apologize. I understand something must have come up. However, we'll need to reschedule our tie-up discussion. I'll contact you once we have a new plan, but please understand that the project might be cancelled. Of course, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience." After a polite goodbye, I hung up. After a short wait. All right, time to head back to the office and face the music. My workday was far from over. Resolving to deal with whatever came next, I decided to head back to the office from the airport. "Mike, do you realize what you've done?" My manager shouted at me when I reported back to the office. "You missed a tie-up with a DV station. Do you have any idea how big of an opportunity that was?" "I'm very sorry. And what's this about giving your ticket to someone in need, Mike? What were you doing at the airport? This is work. Don't mix personal matters with work." "You're absolutely right. I have no excuse." "Seriously, what were you thinking?" I knew I was completely at fault for this situation. With the manager still furious, I kept my head bowed. "Hey, Mike." "Yes." "I'll be reporting this matter to the CO, so be prepared." "Yes, I understand." "That's enough, Mike. Just go home for today. I can't concentrate with you around." "Yes, I'm very sorry for what happened. Excuse me." I apologized deeply one last time and began to pack up to go home. My colleagues looked at me with concern, but none of them spoke up. "I'm sorry for any trouble I caused everyone. I'll be heading out now." After I made another apology at the door, I left the office. The next day, I was called to the CO's office first thing in the morning. It seemed my mishap had reached the CO's ears sooner than I expected. "CO, it's Mike." "Come in." "Excuse me." I entered the CO's office. The CO, looking stern, was leaning on his desk. I walked up and took a deep breath. "CO, I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience I've caused." "So you understand that you did something wrong?" "Yes." "So why did you do it?" "Are you trying to damage my company's reputation?" "I had no such intention." "Then what was your intention?" Well, could I make him understand if I explained the situation?" With a glimmer of hope, I recounted the entire incident at the airport. "Your name was Mike, right?" "Yes." "Aren't you misunderstanding something? Our company doesn't run a charity." "I apologize. I was wrong." If apologies were enough, things would be easy, but they're not. "We don't need someone with your mindset in our company." The CEO handed me a document. It was a termination notice. "Complete the handover within the period stated here. Make sure your final task is done well." As I stood up, the CEO patted my shoulder lightly. "I understand. I'll accept it without any words." Unfortunately, there was no room for defense, and the CEO urged me to leave his office. "Say, So it's come to this, huh? Though the outcome was arguably the worst possible, I had no regrets. This was the right thing to do, wasn't it? I felt strangely liberated and found myself reminiscing about the past, the days shortly after I had moved to the city to study at the university. "Mike, calm down and listen." A sudden call from my mother. "What's the news?" She plunged my world into darkness. My sister, who had been receiving treatment at the hospital, had passed away. How could this happen? She looked fine when I went home for the holidays. Her condition suddenly deteriorated. Just hours ago, she was okay, but she's gone. Mom, I didn't know what to say to my mother, who couldn't hold back her sobs on the other end of the phone. "Hand over the phone, Mike." "Can you hear me, Dad?" "Mike, can you come home right away?" "Yeah, I'll head there right after this." "Do that, Mike." "Yay. What in the end, she said she wanted to see you one last time, and then she passed away." "My gosh, sorry." "No, don't apologize. Just come back safely, okay?" I hung up the phone, feeling dazed. Back in my hometown, I used to visit her daily, but after moving, those visits became less frequent. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Tears flowed freely. In the end, I couldn't do anything for my sister. As her brother, that regret of not being there for my sister's last moments weighed heavily on me. Perhaps that's why at the airport yesterday, I saw myself in a desperate woman's situation. I hope Alice is okay. I had no regrets about giving her my plane ticket. I hope she made it in time, and if possible, I wished for her daughter's recovery. My heart was filled with these hopes. A regret like that is better avoided. I hope that her tears will turn into smiles. With these thoughts, I returned to the office to start the handover process. Nearly a month later, after successfully handing over all my responsibilities and clients to my colleagues, I faced my last day at the company without any problems. "Thank you for everything." Mike, make sure you say goodbye to the co too." "Yes, sir." I nodded to him, who spoke without looking at me, and left the office. Then I headed straight to the CEO's office. Today was my last day. I had no regrets or unresolved feelings. "CEO, excuse me." I entered the CEO's office as usual. The COO was sitting at his desk. "I'm leaving effective today. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience I caused." "Indeed, you should." Ideally, I would have liked to demand compensation for the damages, but be thankful I didn't go that far. The CEO let out an exaggerated sigh. "Still, you've practically thrown away your career. It's pitiful. I wonder what kind of upbringing leads someone to turn out like you." "My parents had nothing to do with this, huh?" "I wonder. Giving your business trip ticket to a stranger. What a ridiculous story." The CEO raised his voice and slammed his hand on the desk. I remained silent, continuing to stare at him. "Listen, since you seem unaware, I'll tell you this as a parting gift. In work, nothing is more important than a company. That you don't understand. This is precisely why people like you get fired." Despite the barrage of criticism, I wasn't too shaken. Instead, I felt like I had pictured the true corporate culture of this company and almost blurted out, "I'm better off without this place anyway." However, before I could speak, I was interrupted. "Excuse me." The manager rushed into the CEO's office in a fluster. "What, Nan? You're making a racket." "Sorry, CEO, but this is urgent. Please check the news right now." "What's the news?" Urged by the flustered manager, the CEO turned on the TV in his office with an irritated gesture. The screen showed a breaking news story that seemed to be a positive piece. "So, this man gave you the ticket?" "Yes, thanks to him. I could rush to my daughter's side. The voice sounded familiar. I instinctively looked up at the TV screen. There was Alice holding a little girl, and a man standing beside her. Alice. I was startled to see her, and even the CEO and manager looked shocked, their eyes wide open, their gaze fixed on the middle-aged man standing next to Alice. This man is, indeed it's him. I'm sure it's him. I've met him a few times in TV-related work. He's the former producer Thompson who used to work at a TV station in the city. The CEO audibly swallowed. On the TV screen, Alice was smiling as she responded to the interviewer. Someone from this company gave me his ticket. Thanks to him, I was able to reach my daughter. This is the company that's behind the popular gym chain, right? I hear your father has connections with this company. Then the microphone turned to the man next to Alice. It turns out he was her father. Yes, it's true. I later found out he was supposed to have a business meeting with my company. What a coincidence. Absolutely, but he didn't know that fact. I hope this news feature lets everyone know, despite the controversies surrounding that company, they have such amazing employees, he said firmly, and Alice, nodding and smiling beside him, continued, as long as they have employees like him, the company will be fine. I'm sure the bad rumours will disappear soon. Alice, with a beaming smile, hugged the little girl in her arms and added, I'll visit soon to express my gratitude. Please wait for me. With that, she waved her hand, and the screen switched to an advertisement. CEO, yes. The CEO's office was filled with an awkward silence. The manager and the CEO, speaking in hushed tones. I couldn't hear. We're sorry, Mike. Like this, please forgive us. Please show us mercy. Hold on a second. Forgive us. Mercy. What for? I was a bit taken aback by their desperation, but curious about what they were about to say. We had no idea that the woman you helped was the daughter of Mr. Kidd. I'm sorry for overstepping, but please let us withdraw your dismissal, Mike. No, Mr. Mike, the CEO is going this far. Come on, you must be relieved not to be fired, right? It was a complete turnaround. They probably realized that my being fired would look bad now that Mr. Kidd knew about it. As I stared down at them in disbelief, the CEO looked up at me with a sly grin. How about it? If you want, we can offer you any position. You can even take his place. Excuse me. I watched in amazement as the CEO and manager desperately tried to win me over. I let out an exaggerated sigh. I've already been fired, so it's no longer my concern. No, wait, please. I quickly sidestepped the CEO and manager as they tried to cling to my feet and said, Thank you for everything. I left the CEO's office with a smile, ignoring their shouts behind me. The day after I left the company with a clear conscience, I received a message from Alice. She was in the city and invited me for a meal as a way of saying thanks. Feeling a bit nervous, I made my way to the designated location. It was a restaurant in a high-end hotel, a place I'd never been to before. Mike, I really can't thank you enough for what you did. Thanks to you, my daughter is safe and now very healthy. I'm just glad to hear she's doing well. I saw you on TV. Your daughter is adorable, just like you. Mike, you're quite the charmer, aren't you? I hope I'm not getting you in trouble with your husband. I'm single, actually. I got divorced before my daughter was born. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Alice smiled softly as she sipped her wine. Mike, did you take the day off from work today? About that, I actually got fired from my job. What? Sorry. After all the praise you gave me on TV, that's terrible. Do you have another job lined up? Not yet, actually. Then would you consider working at the DV station? My father is with Alaska, though, but I assure you, you won't regret it. Really? Are you sure that's okay? Of course. Let me just call my dad and confirm. Alice quickly pulled out her cell phone, her movements a blend of excitement and urgency. I had only met Alice twice, yet I'd seen so many sides of her. Tears, laughter, and now this flurry of excitement. Mike, he says you're more than welcome. After finishing the call, Alice turned to me with a beaming smile, the happiest and most beautiful expression I'd seen on her yet. Time passed, and thanks to Alice's introduction, I transitioned to a new job at the DV station in Alaska, where her father was a producer. Ridiculous firing a guy like you. That company is doomed. Upon learning about my dismissal, Alice's father used his influence to cancel the nearly finalized partnership deal his station had with the company where I was once an employee. It made sense after all. I had been the one who initiated and developed that project. Meanwhile, my old nest, plagued by a pileup of customer complaints and an increasing number of cancellations, was now teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. It's like they got what was coming to them. Indeed, such a shame. Don't worry about it, Alice. She looked downcast, and I offered her a reassuring smile. As time went by, Alice and I spent more and more time together, and now we were in a relationship, considering marriage. Alice, there's something I want to ask you. What is it? I've been thinking, meeting you that day, it might have been destiny. Destiny. I'm glad you're smiling, Alice. Your smile is what I love the most. Mike, you always know just what to say. We looked at each other and shared a light-hearted laugh. I promised myself that I would make Alice, her beloved daughter, and any future children we might have happy, a vow to make up for the sister I couldn't protect, to cherish them always.